There's only one word I can think of when I'm playing this build in Path of Exile 2, and that is relax, because your damage is taken care of. Your defenses are on point and you're not gonna die. Let's take a look at a tier 16 map with every single negative mod for my build specifically that I can think of. This is the fastest and tankiest shield wall build you are gonna find in Path of Exile 2, and if you find one, tell me and I will update this build. That's the amazing part about this build specifically, is it was so cheap to put together. I'm not even running anoints, guys. I don't have any anoints on my necklace. I've marginally upgraded gear as I've gotten more currency, so it's been super chill, super relaxed as a build to play. I've had zero issues with any endgame pinnacle bosses. I've had zero issues with T16, T15, Delirium. I've had no issues with it at all. And part of the reason that I end up making a build that is, well, this tanky and this strong is because I always play in a group. This is the culmination of that grinding with friends and figuring out what makes this build just the best build to chill and play. So let's get into it. Now, if you haven't seen the other video, make sure you catch up on that because it goes over the basis of the build. So I'm not going to cover that. I'm just going to simply cover the changes for you guys so you can update it yourself. Now, we're still using Nebulock and we're still using Amor Mandragora. One thing to remember and consider about this combo is that you are taking 95 chaos damage per second per endurance charge. Now, so that means when you're at a boss and you spam it up to 3 endurance charges and then you try to kill the boss, you are taking 95 chaos damage per second. However, it is only on the shield portion of it. Once you use the war cry, you're no longer taking that chaos damage. But if we're spamming it back and forth, that is still some damage we're taking to our health pool that is unnecessary. So we need a way to mitigate that. And one of the biggest ways to mitigate that chaos damage is by having chaos resistance. So you want to make sure you are getting your chaos res as high as possible. Now you'll also notice that I dropped the unique chest piece for this one. And honestly, this one is not even that great as far as armor goes, but it does have the 173 to max life, 17 to chaos resistance, and 43% of armor also applies to elemental damage. In order for you to get as tanky as humanly possible, you want to focus on max life, resistances, and then percent of armor also applies to elemental damage. So I want to get that on absolutely everything I can. Right now, I don't have it on everything, so it could be even more tanky than this. And then as far as the helmet goes, we have the 1040 to armor, again, max life, and the new ring, which, if you haven't noticed, we now have a mana flask, and we need leech of physical attack damage as mana on this ring in order to help with the mana cost, because one of the biggest reasons that I felt this build wasn't as tanky as I wanted it to be was every time that I use the shield wall itself, it would drop the health down quite a bit, like we were just talking about. So this just made it feel less tanky sometimes, and I just didn't like that. So I decided to make a full swap to mana, and now I've got it to a point where it works perfectly, and nothing about the build has changed, you know, as far as how it feels, other than now we are using mana. So the main item we're looking at for that mana swap is the LaBianca Spirits, and you absolutely need to get one that has at least 60 mana every 2 seconds, not lower than that, simply because we need a lot of mana. So if you get a lower tier 1 and then you're like, hey, I'm having mana problems, that's going to be one of the biggest ones. So don't go below 60, get a nice one, spend some, you know, currency if you have to. The other thing is make sure you have leech of mana on a ring, for example. So this one just has flat physical, flat fire, that extra 10% to chaos res is awesome. And then we have the leech. So you have the mana flask, you have the leech on the ring, and then we'll also cover what you can do on the tree to get yourself to even better mana sustain. So that's the gear update for this. Now we're going to move on to the actual skill gems, and we will cover the passive tree in a second. As far as the skill gem goes, don't worry about Ferocious Roar. I just took these 3 out to test it out on another build. But the changes come in Shield Wall and Herald of Blood. The biggest reason that I'm running Herald of Blood now, which I wasn't running before, is because we want that 53% chance to aggravate bleeding on hit. That's the only reason we're running this. And then as far as the skill gems that are involved, we have Deep Cuts 2, then we have Fire Attunement, which again, probably unnecessary, but Overreach is the one you're going to want to have in here. And that is so you have the 40% increased area of effect. So running Herald of Blood has actually increased DPS by a lot because of the 50-50 to aggravate. Now, as far as shield wall goes, we're running Bleed 3, Heavy Swing for the 35% more physical damage, and even though there's 10% less attack speed, I still feel like the build is super fast. Then Life Leech, of course, super critical, and then Rage Forge we're swapping out with rapid attacks, depending on if we are bossing or if we are mapping. Now, as far as just the heralds themselves go, so you guys can have an understanding of that, I'm running Time of Need when I'm the crocodile, so I'm running around, and I put Vitality on that, so I'm regenerating 1% of maximum life. So essentially this is recovering life, removing curses and ailments, and then I'm also recovering life while I'm running around as a crocodile. This is mostly what I'm doing is running as the crocodile. Then once we switch to the actual shield version, that's when Herald of Blood kicks on, Herald of Ash kicks on, and then Berserk. Now, as far as Herald of Ash goes, we have Magnified Area 2, Fire Mastery, Prolonged Duration 2, and on Berserk, we just have Clarity for the added mana regen, and that's on both weapon sets. We have Berserk running with mana regen, okay? Now let's jump into the tree so you guys can see the changes with the mana. So the biggest wheel you are going to want to grab when we're in the tree itself is these right here. So 9% of skill mana cost converted to life cost, converted to life, converted to life, and then finally 18% converted to life. The reason we have to run this is because we can handle some life cost. That's not the big deal. The big deal is that we do need to not just burn through our mana every second. So that's why running this wheel with the actual ring, with the actual flask, and then like I said, Clarity as the mana regen on Berserk. Now we actually have plenty of mana at all times, and even if I spam it, I don't run out of mana. Then as we go over here, you can see defense wise, I have added a couple of things and taken some stuff off. What I do want to say is that you could still have Projectile Bulwark if you wanted. You could also run Prism Guard. I have been testing out this node here, which is heavy armor. I do think Made to Last is 100% worth having at all times, but you could drop these two nodes, and along with some other points, like if you look down here, I'm using these strength nodes because I dropped below my strength threshold. So when you see this on the planner, you don't have to copy this. This is just if you have gear. This is just if you drop below the strength threshold as well. But if I had these extra points, I could then just go up here and grab Projectile Bulwark if I wanted, or if I wanted more armor applies to elemental damage. Now, as far as the jewels go, just while we're here, this is the jewel I'm running in this slot. Corrupted Blood cannot be inflicted on you. I hate Corrupted Blood so much, so having this in here is great. The 1 rage on melee hit is needed to make it feel a lot more smooth when we're mapping and stuff like that. 6% increased bleeding duration, 10% increased armor. The minion stat is trash. I could still upgrade and get an even better jewel than this. I have no unique jewels in here, which is going to be one of the things I do next, is grabbing unique jewels. But I then have this one, which is crit dam bonus, 3% increased attack speed, and then magnitude of damaging ailments you inflict with critical hits. Again, crossbow, trash stat. And then if we go down here, and then I forgot about this one here, which is crit dam bonus, attack speed, Herald skills deal 15% increased damage, and then 10% increased duration of damaging ailments on enemies. This is probably the best jewel that I have, to be honest, and it wasn't even that expensive. I just corrupted it when it, had the Herald skills on it, and this is what I ended up getting. But yeah, as far as the weapon sets go, you can see the difference in the weapon sets. It's basically speed, and then damage, and then speed, and damage. The full updated build guide is in the description down below, and make sure you guys drop a comment, leave a like, let me know what you guys like so far about the build, and I'm excited to see where this build is going to go. I have so much more planned for this build, it's ridiculous. I can't wait to show you guys the full, complete, juiced to the Gills version. So stay tuned for that.